Austin, Texas. Total human optimization.
Here we are with another Onnit Podcast with Andrew Craig, fresh off a nice victory over Chris Levin, recovering, getting fat, doing what most fighters do when they're recovering from a good fight and a big win. And we're without the great and powerful Orlando, which is like our Oz behind the scenes, so we're going full Renegade style. Sorry this isn't live, guys, but we'll get this up as soon as possible. And we'll have Andrew at our disposal more frequently as he's a local Houston native and easy to come up here to Austin. So welcome to the podcast, man. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you today.
It's been fun. I came in the office and I was so impressed with this setup. It's like going to a radio studio. And then
I whip out this little recorder. Yes, it's very professional here sometimes. And sometimes we just go for it.
I can dig it. That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So, man, tell us a little bit about your journey, because you're not like, we talk to a lot of athletes and they've been at it since they were young. And they had this as a goal, a vision in mind. They were saying, one day I'm going to grow up, Dad, and I'm going to be a fighter. That doesn't sound like that was necessarily your path.
No.
You started kind of late. You decided, hey, I want to give this a go. And then worked your ass off and got good at it. So tell us a little bit about your journey.
Well, like I said, I'm very non-committal, so I never knew what I wanted to do. Like I said, I was so non-committal I won't even hang stuff on my walls. But
that's only a small amount of commitment there. You might need to work on that. You might have just exposed a personal issue.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Well, I'm glad we're uncovering these things right now.
We're going deep already, all right?
But I've always been into sports, like not just into sports, but anything competitive for that matter. And I've always wanted to wrestle and box, even though we had no wrestling team and no avenue to box except for backyards and stuff. And then so in college,
Did you get into that at all? Backyard boxing? Were you like
oh yeah, like seventh grade,
club
my parents bought me boxing gloves, 2 sets of boxing gloves. I'd bring my friends over, we'd box in the backyard. Very, I guess, I want to say controlled. It wasn't controlled, but we were so...
It's controlled until someone gets punched in the face. So it's not controlled.
But we were so young and weak that I don't think we could hurt each other that bad. That was my thought process, at least.
And it's kind of true.
Kind of true.
I mean, the strength versus gold density is in your favor when you're in 7th grade.
And those big, they're 16 ounces, and when you're that small, it looks funny on your hands. But I'm probably one of the few people that was blessed by the economic downturn of 08, 09 and stuff like that, because that was when I was graduating college. If there had been a ton of jobs available, I probably would have taken one, had a good job. But I want to take the road less traveled and try at least one amateur fight, because all my life...
So 08, 09, that's not that long ago. That was 4 years ago.
Right.
So that's not that long to be where you're at now. I mean, this has to be one of the quickest turns from nothing to something.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
I had a knack for it.
And you were 23 then?
Yeah, I graduated when I was 22, 23.
Yeah.
I'm 27 now.
So you're finishing college and you're like, shit,
finishing college.
There's no jobs. Let me try and
but I knew
fight people who are trying to beat me up for a living.
Ever since I was little, man, I just had this fascination with, part He-Man, part ninja.
Well, we can tell by the hair that you got that He-Man.
If I could combine that, then I'm set and make some success out of it. So graduated, and then immediately did what every graduate does, and starts training jiu-jitsu and kickboxing and everything all day, every day.
Why is your nickname He-Man Ninja? That's
He-Man Ninja.
That's way
good,
sweeter.
Right? I got the highlight one from high school football. I don't know why it wasn't good, but
well, I mean that's cool too. But He-Man Ninja,
He-Man Ninja is a pretty sweet nickname.
People remember that. Just think about that for your next one. It's not too late.
No, it's not.
Switch mid. There is precedence. I switched my whole name actually, and it's kind of worked out.
Yeah.
It's kind of worked out pretty good.
All right, that's something to think about.
Yeah, He-Man Ninja. That's all I'm saying. Just throw that out there.
Well, now I'm sidetracked.
All right. So let's go back. So you decided, all right, I'm going to take one amateur fight. Let's just see how it goes. So what was your training leading up to that first amateur fight? How ready were you when you first stepped in the ring cage? What did you do?
When I graduated, I stayed in Austin for the summer and trained and valeted and stuff. And then I moved back home.
Valet tutoed? Or just valet?
I wish. Valet at the courtyard. Yeah, courtyard.
So you got some good running in.
Got some good running, and I was in decent shape when I came back home. I was in such decent shape, actually, and my ego was still so inflated because I had not done that much training.
Right.
I talked to my cousin Travis, and he's been coaching Eve Edwards for a long time now. You know, been going to UFCs before I was even training. So I asked him, I was like, Travis, how long? I want to do a pro fight, you know, because at that time I wasn't doing this whole amateur bit.
Yep.
I just wanted to fight. And I was like, how long till my first pro fight? He goes, well, at least 6 months. And that kind of stung. I was like, okay, I can deal with that. He goes, and it's going to be amateur. I was like, okay, all right. So that's how this works.
Double sting.
Yeah.
Huh?
So, man, I just started training every day. I had a terrible job working as a personal trainer at 24 Hour Fitness, which I did not like. You know, wake up, work like 3 sessions, 6, 7, and 8, go train, go sleep, go train, a few more sessions. I did that off and on, or not off and on. I did that continuously until I could finally start teaching more classes at my cousin's school.
So did you start off pretty much straight right away training MMA, or did you focus on?
Well, I'd already had a blue belt in jiu-jitsu from doing it intermittently in college.
Yep.
You know, a good week for me would be like twice a week.
You had a small head start.
I had a small head start, yeah. That
and a little backyard boxing.
a little bit of craziness that I already possess. Yeah, that helped, I think. I knew what it was like to get beat up. You know, I'd been on spring break in Destin before, so that was nothing new to me.
Is that like a prerequisite for going on spring break in Destin? Is you're going to get beat up?
Well, if you're anything like I am, you probably will, yeah.
Well, I've been to some of those spring break spots, and it's pretty ridiculous, actually. Guys outnumber girls like 8-1.
Yeah.
And it just creates
There's a lot
this
of testosterone.
beer-fueled, predatory
Plus,
syndrome where there's 7 girls in a whole city showing their tits.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, yes. And then everybody else is just getting their ass kicked.
Coming from Austin, too, or even Texas, we're used to 2 a.m. shutdown time, right? Last call, blah, 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 around that time. We were in Destin, it was like 4 a.m. So I hadn't paced myself at all.
He-Man Ninja can't deal with that.
He-Man Ninja can't
He's
deal
not
with
ready for that.
Nah. So, yeah, it's bad news, man. But, no, I'd already had a little bit of a head start. I'd had my blue belt. Not that it was a good, you know, not that I was great at jiu-jitsu. And some fundamentals of striking. But it was really like, you know, that's still almost ground zero.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and the way that your career has gone, now you're more of a little bit more of a stand-up guy than...
I'm more of a stand-up guy, yeah. I mean, I can do well on top, but I have a hard time getting there because I have zero wrestling. But I hit hard, and that's
so
a
if
good
you
advantage.
knock somebody down,
then I'll get on top.
Then you'll get on top.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I've had moments where that whole, like, you know, getting close to them while they're on the ground, if you don't completely land on top, I'm really afraid of getting kicked in the face and get kicked in the knee and stuff. So most of the time, I feel like I got better odds if they're on their feet. So I'll let them back up and go after it. Yeah. Plus, it looks cool when you just wave somebody up. Yeah. It's awesome.
Just kind of casually look away and walk away and wave them
I
up.
usually turn around, let the ref do it, and then turn around and they're up. Then it's go time. Yeah.
Yeah. I like it. All right, so go in there. Tell us about your very first fight. You know, because there's a lot of us, and myself included, there was a time where I was training for a fight, and I already told the story, but I was in training mode full on, and I got in this big fight with these 4 dudes. One of them slammed my girl's face into the side of the car, and it was just on, and I got a concussion, and did fine, but it kind of like... At that point, with the concussion, having just fought 4 people in the street, I was like, fuck it. Like, I scratched the itch, so to speak. And I haven't
off the bucket list.
Yeah, I haven't. And now since Onnit and everything, all the momentum, there just isn't really the time. But there's still that kind of itch to do it. But tell us about your first fight experience.
So it was in, I think it was in Shreveport, Louisiana. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Shreveport Municipal Auditorium.
Sounds like a good place to fight.
Yeah, it was good. I fought a guy from Louisiana. I forgot, it might have been his debut as well. But I came out to give it away by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. It was awesome. I had 6 of my friends there that had driven up and they were blackout drunk in the stands and stuff. And I won by second round armbar. And it was awesome, man. It was an incredible feeling.
How was that feeling when he tapped out?
When he tapped out, you know what? No, this was weird. Okay, so it was an amateur fight, and I reached back for the arm bar, and he wasn't tapping, so then I put the hand under my armpit to lean back further, and as I did that, the ref broke it up. The fight was pretty one-sided already.
So the guy just wasn't going to tap.
The guy just wasn't going to tap, I mean, it looked like it started kind of hyperextending, I guess, and the ref broke it up. Amateur fights are looking out for the safety of them a little bit more so than the UFC or something. Not they're not looking out for the safety, but people know what they're doing a little bit more. And then, so I won the fight, and then went and like stood on some steps for 30 minutes trying to catch my breath because I was more exhausted than I'd ever had been in my entire life. I thought I was in phenomenal shape, but the whole
5-minute rounds or 3-minute rounds?
It was 3s. So I only fought for about 4.5 minutes, actually. But that whole...
And people laughing out there, unless you fought for 4.5 minutes, stop laughing. It's hard.
And your first one, that whole adrenaline dump thing was real.
Yeah.
It was absolutely real because I've never been tired like that after a fight. Even, I fought 5 rounds before the UFC. I'm doing 5-minute rounds now.
Yeah.
3 tough 5s. I was still the most tired I've ever been after 4.5 minutes of fighting.
Adrenaline will get you.
Adrenaline, man. It was crazy.
So then, all right. So then you go through the ranks, pretty typical. What about your first loss? When you actually only have one, right?
I got one, yeah.
And so tell us what happened in that one leading up to that. So you had your first win, and then what was your first loss like?
So I fought 4 times as an amateur in 2009.
Yeah.
Won all of them, got the belt at the end of it, and then went pro in 2010. Fought maybe another 3 or 4 times. And
the amateur belt.
I got the amateur belt, and then I was
strong.
Well, it was for the legacy amateur, so I was the first guy to have the legacy amateur belt and the legacy pro belt. Like the first one to simultaneously do that.
I see it.
I held 2 pro 185 for legacy and IXFA in Houston, and then went off to the UFC, and I won 2 in a row there. Almost lost one, but still won.
Yeah.
And then I lost that one in Brazil. And I didn't know what it was going to be like, how I was going to handle it, because I'm very competitive.
So how did the loss go?
How did the fight go?
How did the fight go? Yeah.
Well, the fight
happened?
went. So I fought this guy Ronnie Marks and or Hani Marquez. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
But he's a cool cat. But he was the first guy I ever fought that was younger than me. I'm fairly young. He was like 3 years. I think he's 24. I'm 27. But I usually get back up to around 200 pounds by the time I fight. From 185. He got up to 215 because I asked him after the fight. I was like, dude, you're freaking massive. How much do you weigh? My cousin's
That's one of the big.
Portuguese.
I mean, 30 pounds. That's as much as you could possibly.
That's pretty much maxing out, right?
I mean, that's IVs. You had to really pay attention to that.
He first round, he took me down, took my back. Like I said, that first round, just trying to wear him out.
Yeah, we got to talk about that later.
Just trying to wear him out, man. And so first round was done. We get back up. Second round, I tag him a couple good times, but he takes me down, puts me in a Kimura. I've been caught in that Kimura maybe 3 times in training camp. I think my cousin caught me with it, Kennedy caught me with it, and Marquardt caught me with it. So I was pretty aware of it. So we had been working a lot of the escapes. I got back up, chased him around the rest of the second round, but that still lost the second round.
Yeah.
Third round, finally, now I'm ready to fight, guns blazing. I drop him, get on top, and smash him a little bit, and then I do the get back up type of thing with 20 seconds left because I was no longer in a good position to do much. And I went for like my first Hail Mary, came at me. I just ran into the jump knee, totally missed it. He took me down again, and I lost the fight. And
so decision,
yeah, unanimous decision.
29-28.
29-28, all 3 judges. Yeah, I lost the first 2, won the third. But I went back to the locker room, and I 3-4 years of never losing, you don't know how to handle it.
All right.
And I felt like crying for 10 seconds. It was the first time in a while, I literally felt like crying.
Did you let it rip? Did you let a couple out?
No, it just went away.
Oh,
it hit me really hard. I was like,
He-Man Ninja doesn't cry.
He-Man Ninja don't cry. He-Man Ninja don't have time for that. So, it was my first loss, but
He-Man Ninja let other people cry for He-Man Ninja. I delegate my tears
honestly
to lesser men.
I handled the fight or the loss, I think, a lot better than most people.
Right.
Everybody was so pissed off at how the guy won. I was like, what are y'all mad about, man? He won within the rules. He did what he had to do. He got the fight, good fight, shake hands. It's not the end of the world. I knew it wasn't the end of the world. I think a lot of other people around me thought it was.
Yeah.
But still cool. It was a free trip to Brazil, so we stayed another week, went to Rio, did hang gliding and stuff like that. So first loss wasn't so bad, especially when you get the win next.
So then after that, been on a solid run. How many in a row since then?
Just one. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So that was,
I had that loss in January of this year.
And then you came back and beat Lieben.
Yeah. And that felt good.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good one to get back. And you were battling through some injuries and stuff.
Yeah, man.
Too.
Always injured, just sometimes more severe than others. This one was more severe, so I was a little more out of shape than I usually am. Not that I'm usually out of shape. I say I wasn't in as good of shape.
Sure. Yeah, it's hard to keep that full edge when you got to.
Right, exactly.
But, from talking to all the fighters that we talked to, it seems like nobody's ever really in at 100.
Dude, nobody's ever
you're getting
in at 100.
You're happy at 85.
Which is almost pointless to say, hey, I was injured going in. Yeah.
So is fucking everybody.
There's a direct correlation between fighting and being injured.
Yeah.
So when you fight every day, you're going to be kind of dinged up.
Yeah. Well, man, that's been so if you're looking out at kind of what's been your ability and your advantage, what do you think have been some of the traits that have allowed you to become so successful so quickly in this very difficult, perhaps the most difficult sport in the world?
Yeah. I'm not going to say it's due to speed or athleticism or strength, because it's definitely not those things. I've got good reactions and all that jazz. I don't get hit much, but I think honestly the biggest asset I have is just my mind. Mm-hmm. I'm very composed even in bad situations. You see a lot of guys, they break or they get flustered and make mistakes. I'm usually fairly mistake-free. It's not so much me doing wrong things, it's just so much the other guy being better at something.
Yeah.
And I keep a good head on my shoulders going into it. I do the right things in training camp. I keep, like we were talking about, like kind of the mental MMA coaching game.
Yeah.
I'm into all that kind of stuff, and it helps tremendously.
You see that so often, and it's so easy to be that kind of armchair guy being like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, idiot. But all these fighters, they get in, they know what they should be doing.
Right.
But some combination of the adrenaline, the moment, the whatever's going on, the opponent, how that goes, they lose kind of that mental edge, that strategy. You'll see him do things like, doesn't he know that he should probably do this now?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's easy to see because we're not involved.
Yeah.
But if you can master that mental game, I think that is a key.
It's just like watching football and you see the receiver open. Oh, why did he bomb it to him?
right.
40 yards down the field. Because he had 300-pound D linemen like crushing him.
It's a whole different game. But I think in fighting in particular, it's such a chess match.
Absolutely.
Controlling that side of it is a huge advantage. So that makes sense. You also mentioned something about putting in the time. You mentioned you read Malcolm Gladwell's book.
Yeah.
Tell us about that as far as your total immersion into the training aspect of this.
Well, when I first decided I was going to get into it, my parents, they're cool as hell. And first thing my dad said was, when I told him, hey, Dad, I want to do this instead of getting a real job.
Dads love that.
That's what they want to hear.
That's what they want to hear.
My dad goes, he didn't say.
And moms too. Moms especially. Moms really love it.
What was funny is my mom's like me. She's probably out of my family, she's the most chilled out one at the fights because they go to all of them, and my mom's really chilled out. My brother and dad are kind of nervous drinking, But the first thing my dad says, well, tell me about it. So already that kind of shows you that he wasn't against it. He just wanted to know more, but he wanted to understand it. So when I told him that, he goes, okay, well, this is your job. You got to treat it like your actual full-time job. I was like, boom, done. And from that point on, I treated it just as such. I just wanted to be the best. And I'm kind of a perfectionist. If I enjoy something, I want to be the best at it.
Plus, there's savage consequences for not being the best.
Yeah, it's not only.
I mean, you can have a bad day out on the tennis court and you lose, and it sucks. But you have a bad day in the ring, you lose, and you get beat the fuck up.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people think
fun.
There's so much rides on it. Think about, and 3 huge things ride on it, and so A, your health.
Yep.
That's kind of big,
Counts for some.
Counts for something. And it's not just your elbow or your knee or something. It's your brain.
Yeah.
Your actual health of your brain. So obviously you're protecting that to the utmost. But then the other 2 things is your money. When you lose, you get paid half.
Yep.
I don't like
and it sets you back. Everything builds on itself.
Yeah, and money kind of goes into your career.
Yeah.
The UFC is a scary job to have because nothing's definite, nothing's given to you. You don't know how long you're going to have that job. You see some guys, they get cut after 1 fight. Some guys can hang on for 3 losses and then get cut. You never really know how much security you have. So winning's everything.
Yeah.
So in order to win, man,
a lot on the line, and I think that kind of pressure, it'll cause weird results that are not fun to watch for the fans. Like we were just speaking about it. both Rory MacDonald and Jake Ellenberger, outstanding fighters, savages, two of the best in the world.
Right.
But whatever that situation created, whether it was styles, I think it was more than styles though, but it was styles, pressure, the fucking magnitude of that event, the willingness to take risk was completely gone from that element. And it can create some challenging situations if you don't deal with that.
Absolutely.
Right? Of course, if you think about the risk, like in anything in life, if you focus on the negative aspects of it, you'll a lot of times manifest that negative aspect. So it's a tricky beast.
I mean, it's like, if you're an investor, you got to believe, you got to put your money there and let it ride.
Well, that's a very good analogy. My family comes from an investment background in commodities, which are highly volatile.
Right.
So what you really have to manage there is the two forces of fear and greed.
Right.
Which is if you're afraid, if you have scared money out there, you're going to get out too quick. You're not going to hold to your guns.
Right.
Or if you're greedy, you're going to overbet the position, which is going to lead you to volatility. And I think it's the same with fighting. There's that kind of fear and then that aggression, trying to squeeze something that isn't quite right or trying to punch yourself out when you get a little advantage. Or
you got to find that middle ground.
You got to find the balance.
I think for a guy like Jake, when title contention's on the line, it's not just him getting paid double. It's not just winning and losing the fight. It's what comes after the fight.
It's way bigger than that.
Yeah, way bigger.
Way bigger than that. It's a tricky beast. But then, all right, so you're focused on the mental game, and you have a few things to improve on your own mental aspect of that. You admitted to me that you lost the first 6 rounds just because you're a little slow getting started.
Here's the thing: at least I'm aware of it. Right?
That's the first key. In anything, awareness has to happen first. So I think you're. Now the fixing part is actually easier than the awareness and admitting part.
You know what? And this last fight, this first round, it's kind of it was almost my turnaround point. Now it can be a little iffy because some scored me having the first round, some scored Chris having the first round. I think I got 2 of the judges to score me for the first round. So
that's what we're talking about.
And it's mostly has to do with my my aggressiveness. Just kind of sitting back. But with Chris, he came right at me, and right away I was ready to go. So I was very aware of it. I tried to fix it. He made it tough just because he's a good fighter. And it wasn't like I gave him the first round like I do a lot of other fights. This one was more like we were battling to win the first round.
But he kind of played into not a he helped you get started.
Absolutely.
I remember when I played, I played pretty high level basketball, and I remember the nerves would be kind of overwhelming in some especially big rivalry games. You got a couple thousand people on either side. We'd have people who'd literally spit on us when we come to the bench. Like it was pretty intense. It's basketball. It's not fighting, right? But still. The emotions are the same. Nobody likes to get spit on. But the emotions are similar. It really counts for something. You care, and I remember the nerves would sometimes be overwhelming until I made contact with my defender. So I learned the first thing I'm going to do, because refs aren't really paying attention on that first possession anyways, nobody is, is right off the jump, I'm going to hit my dude with the elbow and forearm check him. And then I'll relax a little bit. And he'll push me back. And the best response was if he nudged me back, and I was like, oh, all right, come on, let's do this.
In the groove.
But the times that I wouldn't do that, let's say it was a clean tip and I got the first shot off the thing.
Oh God, I can't imagine, dude.
And it's oh God, I'm not ready yet. So, I remember that first contact, and I think it's probably got to be the same with fighting. That first time you make contact with that other person and that juice gets going.
I always thought it was stupid when I'd hear guys be like, oh, I don't get started till I get hit in the face. I'm like, that's stupid. And that was before I started fighting though. And then all of a sudden I understand that. Not so much getting hit in the face, but maybe throwing something out there that lands.
Right.
Or, just feeling the contact. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I bet it's like that, not even just for sports, but like a musician, man, if you're on the stage and you got everybody out there, I bet until you get
until you get that first chorus done, for sure.
It's tough.
Yeah, because you got the whole national anthem to build it. For fighters, for competitive athletes, it's the national anthem. That's the point where you're really trying to hone in, and then there's that moment. But for fighters, there's all the walkout entrance, and then there's the songs, and there's the announcement.
You know what? I think that's out of all of it. I mean, none of it's easy, but I think I've gotten better with it. But the announcement is still one of the hardest parts because, Bert walks back there. I don't know if you're familiar with Bert. Watson. He's he coordinates everything, and he's just this guy. You've probably heard his voice on certain UFC programs that you watch. But you're in your locker room, and he'll make you nervous as hell, man, because he's walking through the locker room going, "We rolling in 20, we rolling." There's like a knockout. He's like, "Yo, Craig, we rolling." And you're like, "Oh my god, I'm up." And you go out there, and the song plays, all that stuff is cool. And then you're in there, and then once Bruce Buffer starts doing his thing, you're like, "Would you shut up? Let's get this done. Ring the bell. Let's fight." Because there's so much. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, until the clash.
Yep.
So what's next for you, man? What do you got? What do you got basically in your sights coming up? Healing up first. As much as a fighter can heal up.
Getting non-fat.
Yeah.
And like I don't have anybody in particular that I want to fight. I mostly just have time frames.
Yeah.
And a time frame as far as me healing. And a lot of guys, they'll take fights back to back, and I've never liked that. I've done it before, but I feel like I'm still fairly new in the sport, and I've still got a lot of improvement to do. So I like to get in the gi a little bit in jiu-jitsu.
Stretch it out a little bit. The more you'll learn, the better you'll get.
Exactly, and improve some and learn some, because in a training camp, you're going to learn just inevitably. It's going to happen. You're going to make mistakes and learn from them. But when you're not in a training camp, you can just actually go to classes, go to jiu-jitsu class, learn some new techniques, go to kickboxing class, learn some new techniques, stuff like that. I think that's a really important time for my actual development as a fighter. So I want to do that, and then obviously fight in the next few months, at least one more time by the end of the year. I think one will be ideal. That's 3 fights in a year. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
And then long run, man, my whole goal is to I went to school here. I've been we call it vacation, but this was always our vacation destination, man. Labor Day, 4th of July, Memorial Day, boom, we're on the lake. Ever since we were little, slaloming, kneeboard, whatever. And now it's wakeboard and tube, or just don't even take the boat out. But I'd like to move back up to Austin at some point.
Train with Tim Kennedy.
Train with Tim. I want to start my own gym in Austin. That's ideal for me. That's because everybody, obviously everybody says that, and it's true. You can't fight forever, man. And father time gets everybody, especially in professional sport where your goal is to, hurt the other guy. It's not going to happen. So I think what a lot of other fighters do, and what I'm trying to do, is parlay fighting success into some other business venture. And right now, I love to own a gym. I like teaching. I like that whole gym atmosphere. I've been around my cousins forever now, helping him with the actual business, helping teach, stuff like that.
Cool.
But those guys that really got it made are, the Kenny Florian, the Brian Stan, the guys that even Mark
broadcasting.
Does the broadcasting, exactly.
So what do you think, though, man? Do you have your sights set on the championship, or is this going to be, is that like your top priority, or is that if it comes, it comes kind of thing for you?
I always think about the championship. I think about being the best, but I'm a very short-term oriented goal type of guy.
No commitment. No commitment. You don't want to put something on it.
Though, now that you say it, I think that might go along with the other stuff. I should have more sights set on the ultimate goal, which is the championship. I think I should be more inclined to thinking like that. But man, I'm like always. I just get.
You're a real one fight at a time.
I'm a one fight at a time type of guy. Yeah. But overall, and I almost feel like I'm saying this because I should be saying it. I want to get the belt. And honestly, I do. It's just not something I think about that much.
Well, I think there's something to be said for the honesty in that approach. I mean, everybody says take it one fight at a time, but what you're supposed to say is the belt. I focus on the belt. I dream about it. I masturbate and think about it as I'm masturbating. Like whatever anybody wants to hear.
I don't even like wearing belts.
But I think your attitude. I mean, I know just from hanging out with you, I know that when that fight comes and your next one is on the belt, I mean, you don't need that extra motivation to be thinking you're going to work as hard as humanly possible, as much as your body will allow, to allow you to win the next fight.
Right.
And I think there's something to be said for that as well, and then if that road ultimately leads to the championship, that's obviously a great goal. That's going to set up your whole life even better.
Absolutely.
But focusing on that one battle coming up next.
It makes it easier, man. I mean, there's a lot that goes into focusing on one fight. You think it's just a fight. Your mind plays so many tricks on you. I can't imagine trying to look past that fight. Okay, I got to beat this guy, and then once I beat him, then I'll fight the number one contender. Then I can maybe fight for the belt. Oh, it's too much. It's too complex.
it adds pressure too.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you start thinking about the implications other than, listen, let's keep it simple.
Right.
There's another man over there, and we got to really focus on beating him. And then that's it. Whatever else happens, we'll sort that out afterwards. Let the management or whoever do it. But I think that's something to be said for just focusing on that immediate task at hand.
Michael Scott from The Office, man. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, exactly. And I think so. One of the things that I've talked about to some other people who've done some mental coaching for UFC fighters is the ability to stay present in the moment.
Yeah.
And not kind of put your mind in another compartment.
Absolutely.
Because I've actually been in the corner of fighters where I've seen them do that. And you're trying to shake them up, like, hey, here and now, dude. I don't know where your mind is at.
Yeah.
What little safe place it's in that is making you go through this like a hard sparring session.
Yeah.
But this is really important. Like, you need to bring your present focus back into the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what you're talking about. That presence of mind is. That MMA coach, he was like, or the mental coach said, get to practice early, because if you show up to practice, you run in there, you throw your gear on and get, go, then you never really get your mind set for it. He, has this whole track where he has you show up to practice 20 minutes early, listen to the track to get kind of centered on what you're about to, what your objective is right now, and go do it. And it's the same thing with, the actual fight. Cornering guys even, and my buddy, he's gonna be mad at me, Chris Lopez, I just cornered him in a fight, and he was fighting pretty well, but in between rounds I'm trying to give him instruction, and he's sitting there, yeah, did I lose that round? Wasn't listening to anything I said, just wanted to know my opinion whether he won or lost the first round, which it doesn't matter, because that round is gone. You gotta focus on what you gotta do the next round.
Yeah.
And I always thought that, it happened just a few weeks ago. I thought it was funny as hell though.
Yeah, you see that in certain corners.
Yeah.
Like certain people will be really listening, and then certain people will just be like, whatever you're saying, I don't care. I got this guy. I'm gonna go over there and punch him. I'm gonna punch him. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, it's funny how that all goes. Well, tell us, give the people listening, give them some of your tips to basically, as far as your own physical fitness, performance. What are the kind of some tips, training techniques that you use to get in your kind of peak conditioning?
I get this a lot, and I always break it down really easy. I just say, train a lot, like it's your job, which it is.
Good tip.
And eat healthy.
Tip, Andrew. Yeah, there we go. Now you're going to get your own TV show with that revolutionary philosophy.
Man, it's tough to say, because for the people that are out there, their job is not what my job is. My job is, fighting perfection. So that's what I do 4 hours a day. Is I'd say number one is nutrition and diet.
It's the foundation. Yeah.
My brother, he's done some figure competitions, and don't get me wrong, he still lifted weights twice a day for hours at a time, but his diet was perfect. It was just almost flawless, and he won them, not because he was the biggest dude, but because he had taken all that time, and I don't know, it helps, man. It shows.
Absolutely.
You can do all that. Tips. Keep it a lot of variety.
Yeah.
That's what helps me, at least.
Keep everything guessing.
Yeah, because I'll get so bored of the same stuff over and over. So when we go to the strength and conditioning, I love it when some days are more circuit-based and kind of has a little more cardio. Then some days you're just kind of throwing around some heavier weight. Some days it's all Olympic lifting. And I feel like Olympic lifting, almost like what you would do with the kettlebells, I feel like that's the best, because it's all kind of functional. You do a clean to a squat to a press or something like that.
Sure.
And that's your whole body in one lift. It's not like you just did some curls. Don't get me wrong. Curls for the girls, you gotta get your mirror muscles.
You gotta work them out at some point.
You gotta work them out.
It just so happens they happen to be first and 3 times a week, But at some point you gotta work them out.
It just happens I have 3 bicep days a week.
What's today? Oh, it's bicep day. It's pec day and bicep
and chest. What's next? Calves. Yeah. Stuff like that, man.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about how, you've been with us for a little while now. How have some of the Onnit products kind of helped you along in your path?
One that I actually wasn't taking until recently. I was taking it, but not in this kind of way, was the Primal Pack. Because I'm a convenience type of guy.
The TPC pack, yeah.
Yeah. Total Primate Care. I'm a convenience guy, man. If I can just grab a hunk of vitamins in the morning and down them all, and then do it again at night.
Totally.
Maybe with a little bit, maybe with a melatonin or one extra new mood or something,
Yep.
and I sleep
Yep.
like a baby. Then that's the way to go, because in the past I'd sit there and take out one vitamin at a time
so annoying.
from all these different companies.
I own a supplement company. I still don't do it. I have them all out there. I'm like, fuck it. It's like, I know this is good. I have to open all the lids. And I can take them all in a handful, which helps.
Right.
Because if I had to take them one at a time, I think I may never take a supplement if I had to do them all one at a time. If I couldn't do them as a handful. But it's weird how, even something so simple as doing that menial task will actually prevent you from doing something that's good for you. And I think there's a lesson to that, in that try to make the good stuff for you. First of all, work on your discipline and try to get better at doing that, but also try to make the good stuff for you as easy as possible, so you have no excuse not to do it. And that's really what we wanted to do with the TPC.
Yeah, it's awesome. And it kind of goes along. I finally understand people with the daily vitamin thing, where they put them in there and preload them already. Yeah, and that's what we're doing now. The packaging on there and some of the moving pieces makes it hard to keep that in stock. So right now we're selling the bags with all the supplements, so people can custom do it. And that works too, because you can always get, all right, this is my 15 minutes. I'm going to lay out my packs for the next 2 weeks. And then it's easy. Then you have your own as well. But, devoting that time in a block is easier than trying to do it on the go, or if you're traveling or something like that. So that makes a lot of sense. The one thing or not the one thing, but I think maybe my favorite thing is first, I've got maybe the just the stomach of a 90-year-old man who's been eating jalapenos and drinking whiskey his whole life or something. It's just, sometimes it's terrible. And so
you tell us you have gas here, Andrew? What are you trying to tell us here?
No, I was saying that regular protein shakes up my stomach bad. And Hemp Force is easy money. Plus it's the most delicious thing ever.
It is really delicious.
I mixed that with coconut water. Oh my God.
I'm gonna have to show you some of my recipes. We got a vanilla one coming out.
Oh yeah.
And I came up with some recipes. I call it the Fettuccino. It's coffee, MCT oil, this Hemp Force vanilla. I sometimes mix it with a little bit of chocolate. I got all these recipes. It's ridiculous.
That's cool.
If Starbucks gets a hold of it, they're gonna freak out. They're gonna know we're coming for them.
Who I think it was maybe I think I follow him on Twitter. Maybe Onnit retweeted it actually, but it was TJ Dillashaw, and he was putting some in his some Hemp Force in his oatmeal.
Not a bad idea,
TJ.
Not a bad idea.
Good stuff.
The vanilla one we're coming out with, I had to reformulate that 20 times. Just because the chocolate is so good.
Right.
And there's there's a lot of cocoa in there. So if you think about vanilla, you can use the bean powder, but a little bit goes a long way with the vanilla.
Right.
And it's not like you can put the same amount. So I had to come up with all kinds of clever things to put in there.
Does it still have the hemp seeds in it? Those are awesome, man.
Yeah. And we ended up finding this stuff called mesquite powder, which is not like the wood you burn, but it's actually the bark from this South American tree. Has a nice little sweet, nutty flavor. And so I picked up a couple things. Also has some good nutrient profiles in there. Sweet. And finally, eventually figured it out. Put a little, you'll see when it comes out, but it's money. So I'm looking forward to dropping that, because chocolate is good, but nobody wants chocolate every day.
Well,
sometimes you need to mix it up.
Some people want chocolate every day,
For sure, man.
Dude, you go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, man, you and Josh, y'all seem to have such refined palates, because every time y'all describe something. Do you ever watch Bizarre Foods with Zimmern?
No, I don't.
Everything's got nutty overtones, or it's earthy, or whatever.
Well, when you have
very good descriptors.
If you would have seen the sampling, I'm actually, the supplement side is a lot more research, and it's also trial and error. You're taking things. I'm very keen to what goes in my own body, so I'm trying different ingredients, feeling the effects, thinking about combinations, trying things in combinations. But I'm really most proud of the stuff like Hemp Force and the bars and things that we created, because that's I'm a real chef. I'm mixing things. I'm like a fucking mad scientist. I got bags of stuff. I got little tiny spoons, and I'm taking notes and measuring things, and then finally coming up with flavor profiles that make sense.
That's very cool.
And then to hear to know where Hemp Force came from, which is, I remember the spot in the kitchen. I remember having 25 different things and then settling on just 4 or 5 things that worked, and then being like, this tastes good, this tastes good. And I was running around this tastes really good. And I was so excited that actually, and I thought maybe I was wrong, so I threw it all away and I recreated it from scratch based on my notes. Like, it still tastes good. You gotta try this, guys.
Is it good?
Yes. Exactly. Because taste is something that you feel like you need to, have a education for, but really just enough kind of common sense, trial and error, and be able to put some cool things together.
Well, I mean, it's almost like, a lot of these professional fighters come from these huge collegiate wrestling backgrounds. Yeah. Not me. A lot of these people doing this kind of stuff probably went to culinary school or something.
Yeah, totally. You. Making there's flavor experts that come together, and that's why everything kind of tastes the same. But me, I had no training. I was just winging
it. Badass.
Maybe we'll put this much cocoa. And then they look at the recipe like, whoa, that's a lot of cocoa. I was like, is it? I don't know. I think it tastes delicious. They're like, you're right. It does taste delicious. But the training would say, oh, no, you want to use maybe a third of that, and then you can buffer it with this and that.
You know what?
Throw that shit. They don't know shit. Try some hemp for us. We'll see you win.
Dude, I just had one of those Tonka bars recently.
Oh, yeah, those are good.
I didn't know what to think before I tried it because I was like, buffalo and cranberry. I don't know, man. Right? Holy shit.
Really good. We're coming up with our own version of that eventually.
Oh yeah.
But it's going to take a while. It's actually going to be same kind of flavor profile, but double the size. So that's top secret. Nobody tell anybody. All right, shit. It's already out in the world. There he is. But no, that's part of the problem with dealing with meats, though, is you got to go through the full USDA kind of labeling approval. So that's minimum 3 months, and it's going to take a while. But
I gotcha.
Those Tonka bars are good.
Yeah, they are, man.
They're really good. And it's a really good company too. All Native American owned. The guys came out here and really solid. So we're happy to
every buffalo is killed with a spear from horseback.
Yeah, almost. I wish that would be way sweeter.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, that's one thing about I've told the story a few times, but when you actually acquire your own meat and go through the process, clean it, butcher it, skin it, and prepare it. There's nothing better than eating some meat that you've taken from the field and taken it all the way through and prepared it and cooked it in your home to feed yourself and your family. It's an awesome feeling.
I meant to tell you, man, your podcast with Rogan is great because y'all spend a lot of time on that. Sure. And I enjoy hearing about that. Yeah. And I'm the same way. First time I went deer hunting, I was like 13 maybe. And I killed the deer and it was cool and somebody else cleaned it. We got the meat. But I like going through the whole process myself. I went to South Texas last year, shot the deer, cleaned the whole thing, took it all home, had everything from the deer. Yeah,
that's the way to do it.
Yeah, way better.
Yeah, when you get in there and you feel that the whole part. I mean, it was really a cool experience. Yeah. I think anybody who eats meat, should go through that process.
Absolutely.
So they understand and have a little respect for what you're doing. It's not just appearing to you via magic.
Exactly.
Knowing oh, hey, this is the part of the animal that I'm eating.
Right.
Hey, thanks, animal, for this. I needed this fuel, and I feel great from doing it, and I appreciate the fact that I'm eating it. And I think that's something to be said for that. Plus, the nutrition value of those kind of free-range, grass-fed, it's just, you can't beat it.
I mean, it's one of, 10,000, even if it's a 10,000 acre ranch, that's still pretty free range to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I made sure that's where we hunted. It was 10,000 acres.
Yeah.
And I made sure to call it, it's more conscious meat acquisition because, all right, maybe we're not tracking through the wilderness of infinite miles.
Right.
But these animals have a pretty good go. They got a good life. They're out there running around, breeding. They're breeding constantly. They're fighting. They're doing everything that an animal should do. It's just, their end comes, well, I guess like it does in the wild too. Predators are out there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's mountain lions in South Texas, man. Yeah, they're rampant.
So they live the life as best they can, and then, you get a chance to consciously acquire that meat and eat it.
It'll make you appreciate it so much more.
Agreed.
Not just that meat that you're eating, but almost anything
all
you
meat.
Eat. Yeah,
all meat.
Not even all the meat. Even when I get vegetables, I'm like, I question where everything came from now. As I started hunting.
That's important. That's important, absolutely. Well, Andrew, I'm about to put you through a savage workout here and see what happens.
Prepare to be underwhelmed.
All right, man. Well, it was a pleasure having you on the podcast, and look forward to hanging out a lot more in the future.
Thanks for having me, man.
All right. Adios.